I think, and one word I was reading the book, and I think one word that came out was supervision. So I
Yes.
think we know visionaries, we know what they are. I'm curious, what is supervisionary?
So when we talk about this concept of supervision, we have two elements of it. One is future vision and one is inner vision. So inner vision is much more about the manager being able to help the 10Xer in this case see the things that they can't see for themselves. So there's this concept of Johari's window. Have you ever heard of that? Where there's 4 panes in the window, and in one pane is everything that you know about yourself and everybody else knows about you. In one pane, there's the things that you don't know about yourself and nobody knows about you. In one pane, there's the things that everybody knows about you and you know about yourself. Like, I have gray hair. Those are common. And then the last pane, the one that really matters, is the one that other people know about you that you don't know about yourself. When you can be the inner visionary of that problem for somebody and you help them eliminate a blind spot, you are contributing to their 10X-ness, and that will breed loyalty. They will appreciate that, and they will also see the value that if I stay with this person, they will be honest with me. They will tell me when I'm failing. They will tell me how to improve it, or at least help me think through it. And that's a hugely valuable property. Future vision is a similar quality in that you're helping the person see that which they may not be able to see, but it's not necessarily about them. It's being able to see around corners in the future. So for us in our day-to-day life, when we're renting out tech talent, sometimes that's being able to anticipate that this company is going to have additional needs and they're going to want you to stay on to do it. And long before they ask us, will you do that? We're able to say, hey, this is likely going to be a question. We want to be ready. We want you to be ready for the question when it gets asked. What does that look like? And, conversely, on the side of the 10X Ascend business, where we help technologists negotiate full-time job offers, we're often preparing them for what the recruiter may say to them on the call. And what we're doing is using our experience to say, on this call, they're likely to say this to you. And that takes some of the anxiety out of it, and it helps them prepare for what likely will come. Of course, we still don't have a crystal ball, so we're only going with what the data tells us is the likely outcome.
I think so. Uh, Interesting word, by the way. And I think one thing that I really like is how it takes it takes a village, right, to perform for these visionaries to get created and sort of to empowered. And I think I totally agree with you. Surprising them with how to fix their problem is like the best gift anyone can get. So I think so there's one thought that is sort of coming to my mind when you were pitching that. So I spoke to one of the Fortune 10 companies chief learning officer, and I asked him a very simple question. I asked him, hey, what do you think of your workers? Are they something? Are they like a vase that you put on the side and they attract more people and to appreciate your house, or are they Kleenex? You take it out, get the job done. Once they're exhausted, throw them out, right? So, and I think the answer was not anyone would like to hear. But this particular gentleman says, okay, too many, they are like Kleenex of how the organization is shaping up. And then he put up a very interesting argument. He said, Vishal, if you think about the aspect of on-demand talent, if you think about, and he's saying that as an executive, it is becoming really hard for me to figure out who is in, who is out when it comes to the organizational success, right? So there's a temp talent pool that exists today. The freelancer pool is ever increasing in the numbers. So when you talk about, say, this idea of supervisionaries, when you talk about this idea of, okay, it takes a village, the manager needs to empower their workforce, and on the other side you see these temp workers or the army of temp workers, which are there. Many companies have increasing in that number of flexible workforce. I'm curious, how do you comprehend these two phenomena coming together?
Well, I think that some of what you're talking about has to do with the quality of the people. I like to think that when our highly paid, very successful technologists go do an engagement, even though it's a freelance engagement, they do it very seriously and they care. And this is a big part of what we screen for, not just about doing what they've been asked to do. This is actually what I hear most from people who have had bad experiences and offshore experiences, but actually challenging and understanding the big picture problem that they're solving. Not just write this code that builds this widget, but we're trying to sell, these widgets to this group of people, and then they get to make suggestions, and more importantly, they get to push back on some bad ideas that may get presented along the way. So I don't, what I was going to throw back at you is, outside of the legal classification, what is as job tenure continues to fall, which it has, and it's, for certain age populations, it's down to like, I think, 16 months is average job tenure. When you think about that 16-month person versus, a freelancer, what's really the difference? How loyal to the company do you think that person is, who's your full-time employee versus your contractor? And I don't think there's a big difference. I think loyalty is much less determined by what your employment status is, and much more determined by how you're treated. And this is when we talk about the human elements of stuff, this is what gets me excited. And this is where management in HR is a little bit broken. And it's especially broken if you want to be dealing with 10Xers, because one of the things about 10Xers is they have choices. These are not people who have a shortage of job opportunities. These are people, and I've seen it, if they flip on LinkedIn, I'm open to opportunities, we'll have 20 recruiters in 2 days hitting them up with legit job opportunities. So if you're not treating them well and they're not feeling any connection to their own mission and to your mission, they're going to be out the door in a short period of time. And what you just described about the Kleenex or the tissues is exactly why there's no loyalty. Because if you think about people that way and you treat them that way, and I don't mean this to be braggy, but one of the things that we do is I do a one-on-one with everyone who's a direct report to me monthly. And in those one-on-ones, I am attempting to find out, what do you want to be learning that you're not learning? What are the skills you have we're not taking advantage of? What is where do you want to be going? Are you open to this kind of promotion or that kind of promotion? And in addition to getting feedback from them about how I'm doing, because that is an important important element, I understand that these are people. It's not their business. It's my business. It's my company. Like, it doesn't matter whether we give them some equity, whether you give them bonuses. It's not going to be theirs. So I have to make sure that they're getting the other rewards out of their career, both in the way that we treat them and in the way we think about them and what we understand. And in some instances, I sent an email this morning to somebody outside my company to try and see if I could get somebody who I quite like having in my company a job working for him, because it's time for her to go and do something different. I mean, would this guy who treats people like tissues do that? I don't think so. And I'll tell you what I believe about that is that while this person is looking for their next opportunity, which has gone on for a while because of the pandemic, they're not phoning it in for us, because they know that we care about them, and that makes a difference. Like, it really does. And by the way, that's the right thing to do regardless of whether you get better performance out of people. But if you want to be just pragmatic, you're going to get the best out of people when they know you have their backs. And one of the things we talk about in the book extensively is the third party effect. And this is actually going back to something else that you said, which is, not only are developers not necessarily good at advocating for themselves or negotiating, nobody's great. I shouldn't say nobody. Most people aren't great at negotiating for themselves. I am an excellent negotiator. I do it for a living. I don't want to negotiate for myself. I don't want to tell somebody how great I am. I want someone else to say that about me. I sound like an idiot when I say that. And the story I told about the gentleman who's our co-founder, he was horrible at negotiating for himself. When he came in as our first client, I got his rate, 50% more in one moment. But as soon as he became an agent and was negotiating on behalf of other people, He was a better agent than I was. He was really aggressive. And that is part of what you need to do. So if you're at a company, if you're this guy who mentioned this tissue thing, maybe if you did the opposite, you'd get more out of them and they wouldn't be as disposable. We talk a lot in the book about the fact that these kinds of employees, these best of the best, they don't want to be a cog in the machine. They want to be mission critical. And there's something else that's really important. There may be people who are listening to this thinking, I can't afford these top 10x people. That's, I think, a misnomer, because if you appeal to the right sensibilities, you might be able to. But even if you forget about that, Gen Z and millennials, they care about very much the same things that 10Xers do. And I don't, the origins of that I'm not sure of. But the fact is, they also want to know that they're mission critical and that you see a future for them. And the minute they don't think about that, they don't think that you care about that, they're looking for their next job. So while he's treating people like a tissue, or she is treating people like a tissue, they're looking for their next job because they're being treated like a tissue. That is a self-fulfilling prophecy.